The first thing many people notice about the 1999 1 Rand is that it feels familiar. It was made to circulate every day, used to buy groceries, pay for transport, or make small purchases. Because of that, countless examples have been handled, scratched, dropped, and forgotten over the years. Yet collectors know that the journey of a coin is just as important as the year stamped on it. Two coins from the same year can have completely different values simply because one has remained in exceptional condition while the other has spent decades in heavy circulation. The 1999 1 Rand represents an important period in South Africa's modern coinage. During this era, the country's coins reflected a fresh national identity while maintaining practical designs that people could easily recognize. Although millions were produced, not every surviving coin has followed the same path. Some remained safely stored in collections from the day they were issued. Others were tucked into drawers, forgotten in family keepsake boxes, or saved by people who simply enjoyed collecting interesting coins. Collectors always begin by examining condition. This is where many beginners make mistakes. They see the correct date and immediately assume the coin must be valuable. Experienced collectors look much deeper. They study the shine, the sharpness of the lettering, the edges, and the smallest design details. A coin that has never circulated usually displays crisp features and original mint luster. Once that original surface becomes worn, the value often decreases significantly. Lighting also plays a surprisingly important role. Under proper light, tiny scratches, cleaning marks, or surface damage become much easier to see. Many people unknowingly clean old coins, believing they are increasing their value. In reality, cleaning often removes the natural surface collectors prefer. Even a coin that appears bright and attractive can lose collector appeal if its original finish has been altered. Another feature that experienced collectors pay close attention to is the rim. The rim protects the design from wear, but it can also reveal signs of damage. A strong, even rim usually indicates that the coin has avoided severe impacts. Bent or damaged rims reduce desirability, while a well-preserved rim helps support higher grades. The design itself deserves careful appreciation. Every line, letter, and symbol was created with precision. Over years of circulation, these details slowly fade. Looking closely at a well-preserved 1999 1 Rand is like seeing the coin exactly as it appeared when it first left the mint. That connection with history is one reason collectors enjoy preserving high-quality examples. Many viewers ask whether age alone makes a coin valuable. The answer is no. Some coins more than 100 years old remain inexpensive because they were produced in large numbers and many still survive. On the other hand, a much newer coin can become desirable if it possesses something unusual. That unusual feature might be a minting error, exceptionally high grade, or an uncommon production variety. Mint errors have fascinated collectors for generations. During the minting process, enormous machinery strikes coins with tremendous pressure. Although strict quality control exists, small mistakes occasionally escape detection. Off-center strikes, doubled details, clipped planchets, and other unusual errors can attract significant collector interest. These pieces are different from ordinary circulation damage because the unusual feature occurred during production rather than after the coin entered circulation. However, patience is important. Many marks that people believe are mint errors are simply damage from years of everyday use. Coins bang together in pockets, fall onto hard surfaces, and pass through counting machines. True mint errors display characteristics that specialists recognize immediately. That is why professional authentication can make such an important difference. Grading is another factor that separates ordinary coins from premium collectibles. Independent grading companies evaluate coins using internationally recognized standards. Higher grades indicate fewer imperfections and better preservation. Two identical 1999 1 Rand coins may look similar to an inexperienced eye, but professional grading can reveal meaningful differences that affect collector demand. Storage is equally important. Serious collectors protect coins using holders that reduce exposure to moisture, fingerprints, and environmental contamination. Even touching a coin with bare fingers can leave oils that eventually affect the surface. Preserving original condition today may help maintain collector interest many years into the future. Family collections continue to surprise people around the world. A box placed on a shelf decades ago may contain coins that nobody has examined carefully. Older relatives often saved interesting pieces without knowing that future generations would become interested in numismatics. Searching through inherited collections can be both educational and rewarding, especially when accompanied by careful research. The excitement of coin collecting comes from curiosity rather than guarantees. Every coin tells a story about where it has traveled, who carried it, and the period in which it circulated. The 1999 South African 1 Rand reminds us that history can be held in the palm of your hand. Even if an individual coin is not rare, learning about its background creates a deeper appreciation for the people and events connected with it. Many successful collectors did not begin with expensive purchases. They started by studying common coins, comparing details, learning grading standards, and understanding how minting works. Over time, that knowledge helped them recognize genuinely special pieces when they appeared. Experience often proves more valuable than luck. Whenever you examine a 1999 1 Rand, take your time. Look closely at the lettering, inspect the surfaces under bright light, check for unusual striking characteristics, and compare the coin with verified examples. Never rush to conclusions based solely on exciting stories circulating online. Careful observation and reliable information remain the collector's greatest tools.
Before you scroll any further, take a second and hit that subscribe button. If you're someone who appreciates history, hidden treasures, and the thrill of discovering value in the most unexpected places, then you're exactly where you need to be. Because today, we're diving into something that might look ordinary at first glance, but carries a story, a mystery, and a value that could surprise you. Now imagine this. You're going through an old drawer, maybe a box that hasn't been opened in years. Inside, you find a coin. It's worn, slightly faded, but still carries a certain weight in your hand. You flip it over, and there it is, 1 Rand, 1992, from South Africa. At first, you might think it's just another foreign coin. Something interesting, maybe even nostalgic. But what if I told you that this small piece of metal could hold far more than just face value? Let's take a closer look. The 1 Rand coin from 1992 comes from a very significant period in South Africa's history. The early 1990s were a time of major transition, political change, and global attention. Coins minted during such periods often carry more than monetary value. They carry the weight of a nation's transformation. Every scratch, every edge, every detail becomes part of a larger story. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all coins are created equal. Some coins, even if they look identical, can have tiny variations. These variations can come from minting errors, limited production batches, or even slight design differences that only true collectors notice. And it's these small details that can turn a simple coin into something collectors are willing to pay serious money for. Think about the material, the finish, the condition. Is the coin shiny or dull? Are the edges perfectly aligned? Does the design appear sharper than usual? These are the kinds of questions experienced collectors ask immediately. Because in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin that has been preserved well over the years can be worth many times more than one that has been heavily circulated. Now let's talk about rarity. Rarity is one of the biggest drivers of value. If a coin was produced in limited numbers, or if only a few have survived in excellent condition, its value can skyrocket. And sometimes, coins from certain years become rare not because they were limited initially, but because most of them were lost, damaged, or simply forgotten over time. The 1992 1 Rand coin sits right at the edge of that fascinating timeline. It's not ancient, but it's not exactly modern either. It belongs to a generation of coins that are starting to attract attention from collectors who are always searching for the next undervalued treasure. And that's what makes it so exciting. You're not just looking at a coin, you're looking at potential. Now imagine being one of the few people who recognize that potential. While others might ignore it, you see something different. You see a piece of history, a collectible item, and maybe even an opportunity. That's the mindset that separates casual observers from serious collectors, Let's go deeper. There are collectors out there who specialize only in coins from transitional periods. They look for coins that represent change, because those coins often become symbolic over time. The 1992 1 Rand is one of those coins. It reflects a country on the brink of a new era, and that alone gives it a unique appeal. And then there's the global factor. Coin collecting isn't limited to one country. It's a worldwide passion. A collector sitting thousands of miles away might be searching specifically for this coin to complete a set. And when demand meets limited supply, prices can climb in ways that most people never expect. But here's something many people overlook: storytelling. The story behind a coin can significantly influence its desirability. When you hold a coin and understand its background, its journey, and its place in history, it becomes more than just metal. It becomes a conversation piece, something worth showing, worth talking about, and worth preserving. Now picture this scenario. You show this coin to someone who understands its significance. Their eyes light up. They ask questions. They examine it closely. And suddenly, what you thought was just a small collectible becomes something much bigger. That moment right there, that's the power of knowledge. And this is why so many people, especially those with years of experience and appreciation for history, are drawn to coins like this. It's not just about money. It's about discovery, understanding, and sometimes a bit of luck. Because let's be honest, part of the excitement comes from the possibility that you might be holding something incredibly valuable without even realizing it. That's what keeps collectors searching, examining, and learning every single day. Now, if you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most people. You're not just looking at coins, you're thinking about them differently. You're asking questions. You're paying attention to details. And that's exactly how valuable discoveries are made. Before we begin, take a second to subscribe to this channel and stay with us. Because stories like this are not just about coins, they are about history, legacy, and the kind of quiet wealth that only time can create. Imagine holding something small, something most people would ignore without a second glance. It fits easily in the palm of your hand. It feels ordinary. But inside that small circle of metal lives a story that stretches across a nation, across decades, and into the lives of collectors who understand that real value is often hidden in plain sight. Today, we are talking about the 1 Rand coin from South Africa, dated 1998. Not just as money, but as a witness to an era, a symbol of change, and for a very select few, a life-altering discovery. If you grew up handling coins, you remember when money had weight. You could feel it. You could hear it hit the table. Coins weren't just numbers on a screen. They were proof of work, savings in your pocket, and sometimes hope for tomorrow. The 1 Rand is part of that tradition. It comes from a country with a deep, complex history, shaped by struggle, resilience, and transformation. By 1998, South Africa was still finding its footing in a new chapter, redefining itself politically, economically, and culturally. Coins minted during this period quietly captured that moment in metal. The 1 Rand coin is modest in size, but its design speaks clearly. It reflects national identity, pride, and continuity. For the average person in 1998, this coin bought small necessities, passed quickly from hand to hand, and was rarely given a second thought. But collectors know something most people don't. They know that the most valuable pieces are often the ones that were never meant to be special. What makes this particular year so interesting is not just when it was made, but how it was made. Minting is a precise process, but it is still done by human systems, and human systems are never perfect. Small variations, limited runs, subtle differences in metal composition, strike quality, or even distribution can turn an everyday coin into something extraordinarily rare. Over time, many coins are damaged, melted down, or lost. Survivors, especially those in exceptional condition, become increasingly scarce. Now think about the kind of man who appreciates this. Someone who understands patience. Someone who has watched markets rise and fall, who knows that real assets are not always loud or flashy. Coins like this speak to men who value history, craftsmanship, and long-term thinking. They represent discipline. They represent foresight. They reward those who pay attention. The 1998 1 Rand coin sits at a crossroads of modern history and traditional collecting. It is old enough to be tied to a meaningful period, yet recent enough that many people assume it cannot possibly be valuable. That assumption is exactly what allows rare examples to slip through unnoticed. They sit in drawers, boxes, and old collections, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. Collectors who specialize in South African coinage understand that the late 1990s produced pieces with unusual stories. Some were struck in smaller numbers than expected. Some were preserved in near-perfect condition by sheer luck. Others carry subtle features that separate the common from the exceptional. To the untrained eye, they all look the same. To an experienced collector, they are worlds apart. There is also something deeply satisfying about owning a coin like this. It does not shout wealth. It whispers it. It is the kind of item you show to someone who understands, not to impress, but to share a moment of recognition. Two people, one object, and a shared understanding that value is not always obvious. Over the years, stories have circulated among collectors about rare 1 Rand coins changing hands quietly, without headlines or fanfare. These are not impulse purchases. These are decisions made after years of study, comparison, and trust in one's knowledge. For men who have spent a lifetime building, protecting, and passing on value, this kind of collecting feels natural. Think about legacy. Think about what gets passed down. A coin like this is more than metal. It is a conversation piece. It is a teaching tool. It is a reminder that paying attention matters. That sometimes, what seems ordinary today becomes extraordinary tomorrow. As interest in tangible assets grows. Coins with strong historical context and proven scarcity continue to attract serious attention. Unlike trends that come and go, numismatics rewards patience and respect for detail. The 1 Rand 1998 fits into this world quietly, confidently, without needing to prove itself to anyone who already understands. If you have ever sorted through old coins, inherited a collection, or kept a few pieces simply because they felt right, this story should make you pause. It should make you look again, not with excitement, but with calm focus. The kind of focus that comes from experience. And now, here is the part that makes people lean forward. Among collectors, whispers and private valuations have placed an exceptional, rare example of the 1998 1 Rand coin at an astonishing figure. Not the average coin, not the worn ones, but a specific, highly sought-after version, preserved and verified, tied to rarity and demand. Before we begin, take a second to subscribe to the channel, because the stories we uncover here are not just about metal and dates. They are about power, history, and the hidden value that time can create. Imagine holding a coin in your hand. It feels ordinary at first. Cold, solid, modest in weight. But what if that small circle of metal carried the echo of a nation's struggle, survival, and pride? What if it represented not just money, but memory? Today, we're talking about the 1 Rand coin from South Africa, dated 1997, a year most people remember as just another page on the calendar. But for those who truly understand history, coins, and legacy, that year carries a deeper meaning. 1997 was a turning point era for South Africa. The country was redefining itself after decades of division. Every object produced during that time, especially official currency, became a silent witness to transformation. The 1 Rand coin of 1997 was not made to impress. It was made to circulate, to pass through the hands of workers, fathers, businessmen, and veterans. It bought bread, paid fares, and rested in pockets alongside house keys and family photos. That is what makes it powerful. It lived a real life. The design itself speaks quietly but firmly. The national symbols were not chosen for beauty alone, but for identity. Strength without arrogance. Authority without excess. To the trained eye, the balance of the design reflects a country asserting its place in the world. To the untrained eye, it looks simple, And that is where most people make their mistake. They overlook it. Men who are 55, 60, 65 years old understand something younger generations often miss. Value is not always loud. Real worth matures. It ages. It waits. Just like land bought before a city grows, or a tool kept long after the job is done, some coins wait decades before revealing what they truly are. The 1997 1 Rand coin is one of those sleepers. On the surface, it was a standard issue coin. Millions were produced, used, scratched, forgotten. But within that production run, specialists have long whispered about exceptional examples. Coins struck with extraordinary precision. Coins preserved untouched by circulation. Coins tied to unique batches, mint conditions, or historical significance that separates them from the ordinary. Collectors know that rarity is not only about low numbers. It is about survival. How many were lost? How many were melted? How many were damaged beyond recognition? And how many remained exactly as they were the day they left the mint? Very few. For men who have lived long enough to see markets rise and fall, currencies change, and promises broken, the idea of tangible value becomes important. A coin does not rely on a screen, a password, or a system staying online. It exists. You can hold it. You can pass it on. And that is why coins like this become more than collectibles. They become anchors. Over time, stories began to form around the finest known examples of the 1997 1 Rand. Not internet noise, not quick flip hype, but quiet conversations among serious collectors, investors who don't rush, men who know patience is a weapon. They spoke of condition, provenance, and timing. They spoke of how history eventually catches up with objects that matter. When a coin reaches a certain level of desirability, price stops being about face value. It becomes about competition. Who wants it more? Who understands what they are looking at? Who is willing to secure a piece of history not for today, but for the next generation? This is where many people stop listening, because it challenges what they believe money is. They think value must be obvious. But the most powerful assets rarely announce themselves early. The 1 Rand coin from 1997 stands at the intersection of national rebirth and long-term collectability. It represents a moment that cannot be repeated. There will never be another first generation of currency from that specific era of South Africa's journey. Once collectors fully lock onto that truth, the conversation changes. And here is the part that captures attention, especially for men who appreciate results, not theories. In elite collecting circles, it is claimed that an exceptional, top-condition 1997 1 Rand coin, tied to the right circumstances and provenance, has been associated with a staggering figure. Not a few thousand, not a few 100,000, but a number that forces even seasoned investors to pause. Before we get into something truly rare and remarkable, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. What I'm about to share with you might just change the way you see that old coin sitting in your drawer. You could be holding a fortune and not even know it. Now imagine this. You're sitting in your favorite chair, maybe sipping tea, flipping through an old drawer or an old wallet you haven't touched in years. Out rolls a coin. It's dull, a bit scratched, nothing fancy to the naked eye. But then you hold it to the light and you notice something. It's from 1994. It's a South African 1 Rand coin. Now for most people, that's where the story ends. A regular coin. Toss it aside. But for the trained eye, or for someone who knows the secrets hidden in plain sight, this isn't just metal. It's history. It's legacy. And in some rare cases, it's worth more than a luxury home. 1994 wasn't just another year in South Africa. It was the birth of a new era. The year Nelson Mandela became president. The year the country stepped into the light of democracy. And coins minted in that year hold far more than just currency value. They hold the energy of a nation transforming. That gives the 1994 1 Rand something priceless, historical significance. Now, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1 Rand from 1994 is made of nickel-plated copper. It has a weight of just under 4 grams and fits easily in the palm. On one side, you see the South African coat of arms of the old government, a symbol that was soon to change. On the other side, A proud springbok leaps, the national animal, surrounded by words that carry quiet dignity. The phrase Soli Deo Gloria, to God alone be glory, arches beneath the antelope. Some of these coins were mass-produced, yes, in the millions. But like any valuable collectible, it's not about how many were made. It's about how many survived. It's about condition. It's about details most eyes miss. And it's about rarity that can take a coin from pocket change to an item sought after by collectors across continents. Most coins from this year are circulated, scratched, and common. But a few, just a few, were never released to the public. A few were minted with errors. A few were stored in pristine, untouched condition. And it's those few that are the hidden gems. If you're lucky enough to find one, you could be holding a piece worth far, far more than anyone would guess. But let's dig even deeper. In the world of coin collecting, errors are gold. Not literally, but in value. Coins that were struck off-center. Coins with doubled images. Coins that used the wrong die. Minting errors. These are the things collectors hunt for. Because they're freak occurrences. They're not meant to exist. But when they do, they become legends. Imagine now, someone walks into an auction house with a 1994 1 rand. It looks sharp, clean, untouched. Experts put it under a magnifier. There it is, a small flaw, a minting anomaly. And the surface? Perfect. Not a scratch, not a smudge. It's what collectors call uncirculated. It's what grading companies dream of finding. The kind of coin that gets the highest mark possible. And when something like that hits the market, the bidding doesn't start at face value. It starts with fire. Even without errors, a 1 rand in perfect condition from that historic year is valuable. But throw in rarity, throw in a story, say it came from a sealed mint set, or from the private collection of someone who worked at the mint. Now you're entering serious territory that it's not just about metal or mint marks. It's about the feeling, the history, the silence of time preserved in metal. It's about owning something that carries the story of a nation's turning point. That's what collectors pay for. Emotion, legacy, and exclusivity that you'd be amazed at how fast that humble coin can climb in value under the right conditions. Some people have already seen values in the hundreds, even thousands, for unique versions of this coin. But that's not the limit. Now picture this. A 1994 1 rand coin, never circulated, stored in airtight condition since the day it was minted. It has a unique error. Maybe the springbok is shifted, maybe the coat of arms is incomplete, maybe the edge is mismatched. That coin is submitted for professional grading. It comes back at the highest possible rating. Word gets out. Collectors around the world begin to circle. An auction is scheduled. That coin is no longer worth a few dollars. It's no longer even in the hundreds or thousands. The bids start climbing. The story spreads. The press covers it. A national treasure. A piece of Mandela-era South Africa, minted in the year everything changed. The final bid comes in. The hammer drops. And the winning price? $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin no bigger than your thumb, forgotten in drawers for decades, just sold for $1.5 million. And while that number might sound incredible, it's happened before in the coin world. Coins from the US, from Canada, from India, from Europe, seemingly ordinary coins have sold for millions because they were the right mix of rare, pristine, and historic. That is, oh, here's the question. Do you have one? Do you know someone who does? Check those old wallets. Check those coin jars. Ask your father, your grandfather, even your neighbor. Because hidden in all that loose change might be the most valuable item in your home. Don't underestimate what looks old and small. In the coin world, that's exactly where the big money hides. That if you found this interesting, subscribe for more stories like this. You never know, the next treasure might be sitting right in your pocket.